Discuss Democratic Congressman Jake Auchincloss of Massachusetts. Congressman, thanks for taking the time this morning.
Good morning. It's good to be here.
Nancy Pelosi, she was formidable as Speaker, and along with Hoyer and Clyburn, they were able to count votes, corral votes. Do you, as a member of the Democratic caucus, have confidence that Jeffries, Clark, and Aguilar, if that's how the leadership ends up, that they can do the same?
Yes, I do. Hakeem Jeffries, Katherine Clark, Pete Aguilar, they have the full confidence of House Democrats. They are the next generation of leadership, and they are going to keep us focused on lowering costs for American families, on protecting our democracy, and on winning back the House in 2024. We are organized and we are unified.
Okay, you talk about the next generation, which Nancy Pelosi did, and Democrats are talking about right now. The President, Joe Biden, has been in the Senate longer than you've been alive. In fact, he joined the Senate 15 years before you were born. Is Biden too old for this new generation?
Joe Biden has always put the country first when he's made political decisions. Joe Biden is going to decide in his own time what makes sense for the next presidential cycle, and I have no doubt that he is going to put America's best interests first when he does that. Right now, I'm focused on working with our new House leadership on how we are going to take back the House in 2024.
Republicans, of course, have a majority. It's a slim majority, but a majority nonetheless. Are there Republican members who oppose, in your view, some of the more extreme aspects of the GOP agenda that you and other Democrats can envision working with on some things, even simple things like avoiding a government shutdown?
It got off to a bad start. Kevin McCarthy did not even attend Speaker Pelosi's farewell address to the House chamber. Just a minimum act of class and decency was above him. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, that's a marker to me of the way he's going to behave if he does get the gavel. With the gavel comes the initiative. If the House GOP wants to talk about bipartisan ways that we can lower costs in healthcare, childcare, higher education, housing, they want to talk about ways we can achieve clean energy independence as a nation, they're going to find that Democrats are here in good faith to debate and to work on solutions. If they're going to instead turn to political theater and attack the president or his son, then we are going to fight back ferociously. This is a House Democratic caucus where the majority of members were elected since 2018. Mm-hmm. This is a battle-hardened House Democratic caucus. People know why we are here. People know what they stand for. People know their districts. And we're going to be ferocious on the campaign trail.
Let me ask you this. I know that Democrats overperformed in this midterm election, but they did lose the House. And 2 years, less than 2 years, after January 6th, and after two-thirds of the House Republican caucus voted to decertify election results after the events we saw of January 6th. What are the messages, the lessons that Democratic lawmakers should take from this loss?
First, voters rejected extremism. They rejected the GOP narrative around democracy, around reproductive rights, and we're going to continue to draw a sharp contrast with the GOP as they step outside the mainstream. But you're right, House Democrats did not win the House. We are unsatisfied with that. We want a W. We're going to get a W in 2024, and we understand that we need to be laser focused on talking about things that are impactful to average Americans. What makes energy bills higher? What makes housing cost more? What makes prescription drugs cost more? Democrats delivered on all those things in the 117th Congress. We've got plans for the 118th, for the 119th that we want to share with the American public. And that's going to be in contrast to political theater around Hunter Biden's laptop. And we're going to be asking the American people, how do those oversight investigations improve your life? And that's going to be go ahead.
No worries. I do want to ask you about one investigation that House Republicans say they want to look into, noting that you served in Afghanistan. They want to investigate the Afghanistan withdrawal. And let's be frank, the U.S. left the country, left behind tens of thousands of Afghans who served alongside U.S. forces there and are now their lives at risk from the Taliban. It left the country to be overrun by the Taliban, who welcomed al-Qaeda there prior to 9/11. Is an investigation of the withdrawal warranted?
President Biden had the moral courage to tell the American people that we could not win the war in Afghanistan, that it was a failed war. He did what previous administrations, Democrat and Republican before him, had been unable to do, and for that he deserves tremendous credit. We're now able to pivot to the Indo-Pacific, where our true near-peer geostrategic threats are. We absolutely need to look at decision-making around Afghanistan, but it needs to be 20 years worth of decision-making around Afghanistan. How did we go in there? How was the decisions around the surge made? How were the decisions around SIGAR, the Special Inspector General for Afghanistan Reconstruction? Why did it take so long for that report to get published? And what did the national security establishment know and when? And what were they hiding or dissembling from the American public? I absolutely welcome sunlight, but it's on the full 20 years of decision-making here.
Congressman Jake Auchincloss, Democratic Congressman from Massachusetts, thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Good to be on.